Guys, welcome back to Mids from the Middle of the Midwest. I'm your host, Nixon the Dark. Today, we're going to talk politics for a little bit. It's going to sound like we're coming out of left field, but I think that you can handle it. So, it's a popular sentiment in some red pill circles that we should repeal the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. Here at Mids, we try to avoid using the word should. We don't have a position on whether women should vote or not, but we do predict that they will lose that right within 50 years. You may be asking, what on earth does this have to do with getting jacked and learning game? All right, guys, you got me. But you do not come to this channel to learn how to get jacked. You just go do it. So get to the gym, plug in the earbuds, turn out those reps, and listen while I give you this geopolitical lesson in game. Women will lose the right to vote because men will take it from them. Today, that sounds far-fetched, but in 50 years, it won't be. So we used to think of like this century-long trend towards feminization as this gradual enlightenment, that we're all moving towards the light where women were right and men were wrong, big stupid oafs. This was seen as a feature, not a bug. We don't really think that way anymore. We now think of it more like a bug. Under the 19th Amendment, women got the right to vote. A few decades later, abortion and hormonal birth control allowed women total control over reproduction. That is, they controlled sex always, but now control every aspect of pregnancy. Add to this the heavily favorable divorce laws, plus heavy doses of feminine social engineering by corporations, schools, and the media, and you have got a fuck ton of female empowerment, literally power. Some red pill observers have intuited that these legal, technological, and cultural changes have fostered ruthless hypergamy. This is the raw, amoral, loveless, mercenary, alpha fucks, beta bucks behavior you're seeing with women all over the internet and possibly in your hometown. This was not just female empowerment. We literally appointed women rulers over our entire society. This is the current state of both hypergamy and our culture, our political system. When you add up rights with soft power, influence, and leverage in the sexual marketplace, women have almost total control over sex, money, relationships, and most of the institutions in the world. Ladies, why aren't you celebrating all of these victories? The rise of ruthless hypergamy created a huge, huge political vacuum of men with no voice. I think they found a voice. One might even call these guys invisible men. Sound familiar? Time for Nixon's fourth law of hypergamy. Solipsism. Guys, you know what it is. Solipsism is sexual, social, and political. To women, unfuckable men do not exist. You knew that already, unless you're an alpha male or an easy mark, a beta male that can be manipulated. You do not exist at all. You don't exist socially, you don't exist sexually, and you don't exist politically. In dating, this is all women chasing 10% of men and ignoring the rest. And everyone acknowledges that this is now the reality of the sexual marketplace. But in a society created by laws and economic output, you guys do exist. And what do you know? In 2016, you elected Donald Trump. This is the weird thing about Trump. It's really easy to make him the end all and be all, the cause and the entire force multiplying culture of what's been happening. But it was hypergamy all along. Trump was a symptom, not the entire situation. The answer to all your questions is hypergamy. So women's rights, as we know it, relied on the apex fallacy, not knowing invisible men even exist or believing that such men were not even necessary to stay in power. or that the men who did exist could be bullied or shamed into pimping a female first, female everything agenda. Do you know why women are all of a sudden like throwing this huge fit about the quote unquote male loneliness epidemic, which has been going on for a long time? Because they're still unable to wrap their minds around the notion that the guys out there that they're not fucking actually exist. They still are convinced that the only men on the planet are the ones who are cheating on them. That's, by the way, that's a feature, not a bug. This female agenda, it actually worked for a shockingly long time. Do you want to know how? The promise of sex. So, like, go back and watch movies from the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, and you will see this play out. It's kind of like a common narrative. I think that, like, it peaked with the movie Anchorman, 2004 or so. Women were looking for advancement, men were looking for sex, and the story always involves some sort of compromise. So, you'd have some male archetypes that would ultimately get lampooned as buffoons, but most of the time they were seen as ordinary for wanting sex. They were not shamed for it. In the 21st century, especially in the last like decade or so, this shifted totally to full on shame of men for wanting to have a sexual agenda. This reflected how women stopped even suggesting to men that they might get sex in exchange for their continued support. Where this happened, men immediately stopped supporting the female agenda and, for the most part, stopped supporting women. It didn't happen to all men at once, but every instance where a man felt completely unwelcome by female first causes or realized that he was duped or blamed, that man got red pilled. He said, fuck this. So any of you who follow like internet content, you may have noticed in the past year or so that a lot of conservative political commentators have shifted from criticizing feminist agendas, which they've done forever. Now these guys, they criticize women. That's a unique shift, and it reflects this change, this response to where the female agenda has gone. So, guys, it's now time for Nixon's first law of the male sex drive. These laws are not ordered in importance. They're ordered whenever I think of them, just like the conceit. So, the first law of the male sex drive: men always vote with their dicks. This is true no matter the candidate, no matter the political party. Even when men were voting for like the leftiest, most gooey, soft, feminized political agendas in history, they did it because they thought it would increase their sexual access. Just like the enshittified university system, this era of politics is coming to an end. The only men left who still believe that female empowerment is in their best interest are the extremely few who directly benefited from it and the most gullible, the least intelligent. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and final thought. So, women's rights are unsustainable without male cooperation. It's simply not possible. Male cooperation is unsustainable without sex. Women do not owe men sex. Truly, they do not. And no one can make a woman fuck a man that she doesn't want to fuck. But men do not owe women political support. And no one can make a man vote against his cock forever, let alone most men. As I've said before, we all kind of fucking need each other. Isn't that strange? On the next segment, we will talk about the two potential scenarios by which these voting rights will disappear. Take care.